Common uses for accumulators are sums, getting the sum of a list of numbers, or getting the average, since that's an extension of it getting the sum. But there are a lot of uses here, and we're going to use something. It might not technically be an accumulator, but the idea is the same. I'm going to have an accumulator that I'm also going to refer to as a Boolean flag. And so it's going to be true or false, and it's basically, it is a flag. If it starts off in the down position, in the false position. So I'm going to call it has a, meaning it has the letter A. I'm going to start off assuming that the word doesn't have the letter A. If I find the letter A, I'm going to change the value of has A to true. If I don't, I'm not going to do anything. And the reason why, again, I don't want to do has A equals false inside of the else statement is that in the same way that letter not found prints a bunch of times for the else, in our final, if we write the code like this, then has A is going to be equal to false if our final letter isn't A. And that's a lot of words. There are a lot of words that have an A in there, but just not at the end. Alligator comes to mind, right? So has A would be true for the first letter of alligator, but then it would be set equal to false immediately, and it would stay false forever. And so the Boolean flag is thrown once, and you never have to worry about it again. We just want to see if has A is true. Otherwise, we don't care. And then at the end of the code, you're going to print, if has A is still false, that means that we never set it equal to true. So I'm going to say if not has A, then we can print letter not found. Meaning if has A is false, so not false being true, so if true, print letter not found. But if we do set has A to true, then that would be not true, which is false, and so it wouldn't run. So let's see this work. So with MetaTutor, it shouldn't run. Searching, 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 searching. But with hello, it should trigger letter not found. And there you have it. So that is called a Boolean flag. And I think that you might refer to that as a species of accumulator. Let's move on to an example that involves lists now. So I'm going to exit out of, or get rid of most of my code here. I'm going to keep the basic structure. And instead of words, we're now going to look at, well, instead of looking at one word, we're now going to look at many words. Let's do a list. So hello. Let's do ni hao. Ni hao. Got to work on my tones there. 早上好, 早上好. And yeah, that's it. Now, let's do Guten Morgen as well. Guten Morgen. All right, there we have it. So a bunch of different languages here. Well, 3 different languages. And let's go ahead and see what happens if we do length of words, and then I'm just going to change this so we still have I equals 0, we still have while I is less than something, it's just now it's the length of the list. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time. I'm going to keep this, this is my convenience variable. So my convenience variable, it's just nice to have it there. That's not a technical term. It's just, instead of having to type word of I for each of these, words of I for each of these, I'm just going to say word equals words of I, and I'm going to print that word. So let's run it. Hello, ni hao, 早上好, and Guten Morgen. There we have it. Let's say that we, instead of a list of words though, we had a list of numbers. Let's say 1, 3, 5, and 7. I'll call this nums, and we're going to do while I is less than the length of nums now. I'm going to keep my convenience variable. So num is equal to nums of I, and I'm going to print num. Let's run that. It should do the exact same thing it did previously, but let's now also throw in an accumulator. And the way that I like to think about this is truly that, like, you know, we're starting off with a basic structure of the three components of a while loop: I equals 0, while I is less than, and then while I, and then the conditional, and then the incrementer, and we're just slowly making it more complicated by adding in other moving parts. Whatever code it is that you want to iterate, and then now we have the accumulator. And so this is truly an accumulator because it's going to be accumulating data. Let's create a sum and make it equal to 0. Ooh, my Java's getting in there. So I'm being told that sum is a keyword. Hopefully that doesn't mess me up at all. But instead of printing the num, let's add sum plus equals num. So every time that we have a num, we're going to add it to the sum. And at the end of this whole thing, we're going to print the sum. 16. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 5 is 9, plus 7 is 16. Boom, there we have it. And so again, this is called an accumulator because it's accumulating data from within the while loop. While we're doing these loops, we're going through all these numbers. We're also going to be getting numbers out. We're going to be adding them onto the sum. So that is it for my basic introduction to while loops. I'm going to, in the next video, as I said, talk about for loops instead, but we're going to come back to while loops and how they work in the future. So stay tuned.